Good evening, Stoneworks. This is WCPR, Concordia Public Radio. I'm your host, Tim Desmond, and joining me today is Neo Aurelian, the first and arguably greatest imperator of the Iraqi Imperium. How are you doing today, Neo?
Well, first to say that's kind of wrong. I'm actually the second.
Really?
Yeah, the second imperator. The first one was Brixie, or Binklebottom. If you so for example, if you look at the video, the Goblin in the maid costume, that's Binklebottom. That's Brixie. He's the reason why I'm even on the server.
Huh.
Uh, yeah, he was actually the first leader. Now, everybody he will even say that when he was running it, it was really me running it, which I will agree. Um, it goes into my philosophy of leadership.
Yeah.
You don't need to be the head of state to be a leader. I don't believe anyone I think ranks and titles and all that stuff. Yeah, they're ego boosting, but they're
They're
they're not they're not really important to if you
yeah.
really want to get shit done. But yeah, everybody thinks I'm the first because I'm the most well known of them. But yeah, no, I do like to give Brixie credit because
Okay.
Brixie was the one who started it all, and he was the one that dragged me over because he was like, "Hey, you want to troll this wedding?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll troll this wedding."
So were you friends with Brixie prior to?
Oh yeah, me and Brixie have been friends for fucking since 2012 actually.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, we're about a decade now.
Man, you're making me feel old or young, both young
Yeah,
and old at the same time. Jesus.
yeah, yeah. Like I told you beforehand, I'm pretty old, and I'm not afraid to say my age. I'm 27, so
Yeah.
I have a lot of experience on the internet, and yeah, me, Brixie, Coolwood. That's another person that was part of earlier Racket. I would call like I would call them outside Stoneworks Iraqis. Okay, here's my category. I have the people I met in Stoneworks, like Catalyst and Lady, but then there was the people who brought me to Iraka, which was Coolwood, Hagalaz, uh, and I'll tell you a funny story about him later. Hagalaz, Brixie, and I forgot her name, but it was this chick that we used to hang out with for a second. We just called her first female to the lore of Uraka because we forgot her username. She only played like a couple times, so it wasn't that big deal. But they were the
Yeah.
reasons why I went to Uraka and helped them in their first war against the Canaanites before we
Right.
lost because it was just me.
So
It was me versus 20 people.
So were you one of the founding members of Uruk?
No, no, I would not be. I would be if we're gonna talk founding, the founding three members would be Coolwood, Binklebottom, so Brixie,
Yeah.
and Hagalaz or Heretic Rasputin, as his in-game is.
Right.
Those three are the founders of Uruk. I found this city when I first found it, and Stony does get this right in the video. I found it a fucking mess. Um,
Well, tell me about that. What
I
was any specifics?
Oh yeah, there was a lot. So Hag is what I call okay. To understand Iraq, you have to understand who Hag is and the importance of Hag in this. So Hag, let me just tell you his personality. On his when he's applying for a job, he puts crisis actor as his job, and his religion is Church of the Subgenius. His whole life is a troll.
What, this is in real
He
life or like?
Yeah, this is all in and
Wow.
in understanding him understands how early Uraka was because a lot of it was everything was funded by him at first.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And Hag is just a fucking troll, the biggest troll to ever fucking walk on Stoneworks. Here's how I would put him. Hag would spout the most racist and just everything wrong in the world,
Yeah.
and then turn around on mic and kiss his black wife. So, like I said, he's just a troll and says shit to get
Yeah.
people pissed off.
He's yeah.
But so he's super aesthetic, as I unesthetically pleasing with his so when I found Uraka, it was random blocks made whatever block he could get his hands on, he used in the building material. Like I found rainbow terracotta, dirt, cobble, like in one building, and all like just randomly placed whatever block he could get, because he's a 2v2 player. He
Yeah.
doesn't care about how the base looks because he knows it's gonna get raided, or at
Yeah.
least he thought it was gonna get raided.
I'd like to see like a picture of that if those exist.
I think he has a few of them, but
Okay.
I can ask some of the older members for you and try to find some. But yeah, the first building on Iraq was the lighthouse in Iraq that you can still find today. It was actually, well, no, the first building actually was the big ass fucking bridge that I don't know why, but the first thing they decided to build when Iraq was founded was a big ass bridge and a lighthouse. And that bridge was the pride and joy of early Iraq because it was the biggest fucking build on the server at the time.
Really?
Like it stretched from, yeah, like nobody else had a like a bridge that went over the water completely. Like
And what year was this?
If we're talking about like in-game years, this would have been like Eldham's like first year, like first couple days, yeah. Like well, actually second week, because after the battles of Kinnon and getting kicked out of there, they basically fled over and just decided to build a bridge. I don't because Brixie had this idea, because he was a Rafnir player beforehand.
Right.
Brixie's idea for Uruk was it was gonna be a mushroom producer. He found a mycelium island, and thinking that it was like a not Eldham, but like Rafnir's generation, like that there was gonna be no other like mycelium, place.
Mm-hmm.
So he went around destroying every mycelium island he could find.
God.
But then once like the third week of doing that came along, he realized, holy shit, it's a custom map, so it's not even worth doing this.
Yeah.
But that's how Uruk started, as a mushroom town. And the buildings at the time were just whatever hag could fucking throw up, and they were ugly. It gave me fucking PTSD, like how ugly. And like I don't have problems with like buildings. Like I generally don't care.
Yeah.
I run around. I like them to look nice, but I don't care if they don't.
Yeah, but there's like a point where it's like it's too ugly.
There's a point, and hag crossed it like 5 times over. Like the only nice building in the city, like I said, was the lighthouse, and that was made by somebody else who came along and saw the fucking ugly buildings, asked if they could build a lighthouse, and then they left. But yeah, like Iraq in its first week of existence, I would say was probably the ugliest city I have ever witnessed.
That's funny.
Yeah, like it was just gross. But that also got a lot of builders interested in the city, because I said builders could do whatever if they really wanted to tear down shit, and so builders were happy about that. That I didn't have any like love for any of the buildings in Iraq. So that I would say that was also a good advantage for any leader. Don't care about your buildings because they can be replaced.
Right.
I know a lot of people are like, once they see their bills, they're done, they're like, oh, I don't want to make any more buildings because this one's good enough. But like, since I never really cared from the first place, it allowed me to say, yeah, you could tear down that shit and do whatever.
Right.
And a lot of people don't have that ability, but I guess because I came from what I consider the ugliest city in Eldheim, it allowed me to have that mindset.
Yeah.
Another thing about early Iraq was the group that came over and founded Iraq all wanted to do their own cities. Like, the friend group that was there, or that formed kind of around the area, I wouldn't say it formed around Iraq at first. I would say, well, it was centered around Iraq because that's where I was dragging people in population.
Yeah.
But the other cities that were around before they all got merged into one city were all extremely close and came from the same area and were part of like the same like, I guess, coalition of people who got kicked out of Canaan, and that's why we got cities like Constantinople, Fredericksburg that got renamed to Gabensburg, that got renamed to Gabson. The city
Gabensburg,
got
like Gabe Newell from Valve.
yeah, like Gabe Newell from Valve, Gabensburg. That was the name of the city at one point. That was right. That's on the mainland next to Iraq.
Yeah.
It was called Gabensburg. But then, well, actually, it was first called Fredericksburg, named after the owner, Frederick, who was, but his name was Frederick Gabens, like that was his IGN. So he was just like, when we were like, yeah, Fredericksburg is like too fucking German sounding. Like, can we do
That's
something
also a
else?
real place,
Yeah,
which I don't.
it is.
Yeah, I don't think that's allowed.
No, it was allowed at the time. That's why
Oh,
we got away with Constantinople, and like we got away with a few other places. But besides all of those, it was, yeah, we had a group of people just all settle around in the same area in multiple countries. Most of us didn't care what the nation we were part of. We were talking with each other,
yeah.
and I think that was the reason why. The best way to put it is like Rodenbrock and a few other places kind of got scared of us war decking them all, because even though these cities were part of other nations, they were working with me and not like their own nation.
Yeah.
Um,
So you guys kind of started your own, like unofficially started your own nation.
uh, yeah, it was like that, but we also had a lot of outside support from even the nations that we were part of, because a lot of them didn't like their leadership, and they would talk to me and they were like, "Oh wow, you're nice," and I'm like, "Yeah, because it's not that hard to be nice."
No, it's really not.
It's really not. But so, and that was also a big reason why we got independence. I wasn't even expecting independence. Like, we were just like living and working together in our areas. And then Barbosa said, "Yeah, you guys can have this." And then Stone Guard, which was merged into Titania, said, "Yeah, you can have the stuff." And then Roddenbrock was like, "Yeah, you're independent because we don't want you to fucking war deck us, even though we had no plan to."
So
Yeah, because at the time we were, and it's why I'm not opposed to like democracies, because it lets the best people rise up really quickly and
yes.
establish an aristocracy. Which, if that established aristocracy is good, it's good for everybody. Like I said, I'm writing an in-game book that talks about like a lot of this, like why democracy is good, and also like aristocracy is also good, and people need to stop trying to be one or the other when they can be both.
Yeah.
And that's how they get the best outcomes of what they're wanting to achieve.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, because like what you asked me about earlier, some of your personal stuff. So yeah, like use that democracy, get established, and then you can get rid of that democracy once it doesn't serve a purpose anymore.
Hmm.
Like, that's why every once in a while I just reintroduce like elections to the current nation that I'm part of. I'll just go, "Hey guys, we're doing elections,"
What nation are you
and
part
we
of right now?
get. I'm part of Lusaria.
Oh, are you in a leadership position there?
Yeah, I'm one of the triumvirates,
Hmm.
which
That's
just
fun.
means I kind of sit there and say, "Yeah, you're approved to do this," or "No, don't do that,"
Yeah,
and then
I
I
am.
let the others do shit.
Yeah, I am at the moment a citizen of the AWE, and that's interesting. I'm not going to say any more about that because I'm pretty sure AWE people are listening, and I don't want to say anything bad about it. But
Oh, AWE is interesting. I give it like,
yeah,
I think they're in their little golden age right now, and it's I'm happy for it, because I'm like, yay, another nation golden age.
hmm,
Because I think everybody deserves their time in the light. They just gotta wait, or be smart about it.
yeah,
I was playing at the time when Eldham was at its most active,
hmm.
and I just played the game better than other people. But
That's a good way to put it. So I've
well,
got it.
yeah, because
Oh.
I really don't care about borders on the game. Like, I really never, like, people think Uraka was, "Oh, we're out here just conquering you all," but like, nine times out of 10, it was places like wanting to join because they were getting war decked by their neighbor, or they're like, Neo, can you do diplomacy for me? And I'm like, yeah. And then the only way the other side would accept the leadership of the place that was getting invaded to stay was if they became under my yoke or something. Like I watched them and made sure they didn't do stupid shit.
So a lot of it's diplomacy and not war. You
Yeah,
weren't.
yeah. A lot of it was diplomacy, and shout out to all the diplomatic corps that like the real hidden weapon of Uraka,
Yeah.
which like yeah, I was like the face and the big scary. Yeah, I have all these mercs and PvPers, grr and all that stuff, but really, it was the people who were like Catalyst.
Yeah.
Catalyst was very much into the diplomacy. Same with Lady. Lady did a lot of the unofficial diplomacy and kept our like allies in check.
Hmm.
I would say like just kind of being like, yeah, you're not gonna do that, or yeah, you can do that. Like they, it's really weird to say, and I know some AWE people won't like this, and same with Aristios or Sylvania people now. They probably wouldn't like it, but at the time, yeah, a lot of their leadership did go ask me, Catalyst, and Lady for permission to do stuff. But also at the same time, I extended the courtesy back with like my allies.
Yeah.
Um, and even allies that technically we had the war, like Simulami was, I would say, was like one of our best allies, but was like we were never on the side of Simulami. Every war that Simulami and Uraka were in, we were on opposite sides, but we just didn't take it personally if we killed each other. We were
Yeah.
just like, okay, we're on opposite sides. We're doing what we need to.
Yeah. Fair
Blah blah
enough.
blah
Yeah.
blah. Yeah, yeah.
So
That's why, if anything, I still to this day consider Simulami our best ally
really.
because they're the only one who never fucking flipped out about us being on the opposite side. They're just like, oh, you're respecting treaties? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's good on them. So I've got a question.
Yeah.
In the Stony video about you, um, it's said towards the beginning that as you were rising up to power, people like started worshiping you, and you like had to put a stop to that. What does he mean by that?
Yeah, there was a lot of that. A lot of like even the higher government officials, and it was a joke because a lot of this like a lot of the I'm not a creative guy really. Like I can write and like take elements from other stories, but I'm a creatively bankrupt guy. So a lot of the stuff like we made references to were to like Warhammer 40K, what else? Like the Roman Empire. Like we were making a bunch of like like civilizations that did have god emperors in them,
Right.
and so I personally, and it's kind of a personal belief because I am a Christian, but I also just like from a in game and like lore stuff, like it's not really Christian, my Christian religion saying don't be a god emperor, but it's more or less I just kind of think it's cringe.
Yeah.
It's the best. I don't
No,
like
I
it.
fully agree.
I think it's like it's very dick writer-ish and like it's just like there's
Yeah.
nothing,
No, there's
there's
no.
no the best way to think I would put there's no like real religion to it. It's just a cult of personality,
Yeah, exactly.
which you could do if you want a cult of personality. You don't need a religion to do a cult of
No,
personality.
you don't. You
Um,
just,
like another big inspiration for Uraka was Caesar's Legion.
yes. Yeah. Fallout New Vegas. That's
Yeah,
a great game.
yeah, I fucking love Caesar's Legion. Even though I never side with Caesar's
No,
Legion,
I
because
never
I
side with.
actually,
They're bastards. They're assholes. I never side with
yeah,
Caesars.
yeah, yeah. But I love the lore of
Yeah, they're
the Legion.
so well written.
And I play a lot of Fallout RP servers, and my main faction is fucking Caesar's Legion in
Really.
those games. Yeah, because it's just I just find out of when I'm playing an RP of Fallout New Vegas, like an RP server for that, I just find out of every faction, the Legion is the most RP heavy. And it's
Hmm.
really weird to say because the NCR to me is just the US version 2 but in Vietnam, but in the
Yeah.
desert. It's just Vietnam in the desert. While the Legion is a whole LARP and a half, and I
Yeah,
just
I mean,
find
like,
that hilarious. I find it more engaging and hilarious
yeah,
because they're
in universe,
yeah,
the Legion is the most RP heavy faction. So, like,
yeah, well, not even in a meta sense, like because they're not well, I mean they do smoke and drink technically, but they have rules to it, and I'm like that's interesting. I find that stuff cool.
yeah,
Um, and like just like a lot of the Legion stuff, but yeah, so a lot of inspiration came from that, and I didn't want to be like because I wasn't the only person that was rising at the time, and I would say most of my contemporaries went down the cult of personality,
hmm,
stuff. Like not cult of personality, but the
God Emperor.
worship, yeah,
Yeah.
God Emperor, like and that was already a thing with Asharia, and they tried to make me like a patron saint in their own religion, and I was just like, I don't want that. I just don't like
Yeah.
if I wanted to become like a god thing, I would actually kill off the character and try to go for staff or something where I'm like, let me be war staff and I'll be a war god or some shit. I don't know.
Huh.
But besides all that, like yeah, my mentality is like I just don't like it. I don't think there's anything unique to it.
Hmm.
Like it's why I do like Luxism, even though if Beast ever listens to this interview and hears me say he's gonna be like Neo hates Luxism. He's always trying to change it. No, I actually really like a lot of the like it's a dualist religion, and I like that kind of stuff more, where
Yeah.
it's beyond the player. Like because that's how religion in my eyes should be. It's beyond an individual, a person.
Hmm.
Like even as a Christian, I will say Christianity is like beyond Christ and the messages that he teaches, and it's not about Christ himself.
Yeah.
That's my personal belief on it. So when it came to in-game religions, I wanted to be something like that, where it's a guide, it's teaching people, it's a religion, not a cult.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
because like I didn't want to be fucking Jonestown version 2, where everybody drinks the fucking Kool-Aid.
Praise be Neo. You know, it's.
Yeah. Like yeah, and a lot of people, especially my council, because they're like, "Holy shit, Neo, we're the biggest, quickly rising. What are you doing? You're doing a great job." And it's the reason why I accepted the democracy I set up to dissolve itself, because I was like, "Look, these people are wanting to do something with me, and it's either they worship me or I just take." Like a monarch position, and they don't worship me. So I took the monarch position so they didn't worship me.
Oh Jesus. So, you what was it like in that like in between phase where you weren't quite the like you said you weren't the first imperator. That was what was his name?
Brixie.
Brixie. Brixie was
Uh, here's
Brix.
how I would here's how I would say the political dynamic before I got elected
Yeah.
would go. There was the original founders, Brixie, Coolwood, and Hag. They were my homies. And how it kind of went down was once Brixie realized that I was never gonna coup his ass or kick him out, and the only way that he was gonna be like out of power was when he wanted to step down.
Yeah.
He just knew that during this whole time I would be leading and doing stuff regardless of the role. So that's why he decided to step down, because he's like, well, Neo is already running the show, um, and I'm okay with that because he's doing a really good job, and I'm not putting in the effort. So,
Right.
if anything, there really wasn't a transitional. It was me coming in and saying, "Hey, I want to help a lot. I want this to grow. I want to do this." And then him, because Brixie's also older, understanding that yeah, he could just step down and still have say in the nation. He just
Hmm.
would have to now refer to me and ask me instead of me going to ask him. Even though I really didn't even ask him, because I kind of assumed that I had full permission to do whatever, and he was like, "Yeah, I do have full permission to do whatever."
Yeah.
And so the transition I would say was mostly people trying to get me into the leadership position. It was them being like, "Hey, we have this electoral system to set up. Are you gonna run?" Well, yeah, I want to run because I set it up, and so we needed people to also who wanted to run, and I encouraged everybody to run during that election. against me, and the closest person that got to second was the person I would make my second in charge at the time, because Cool is just cool.
Yeah.
Coolwood is just one of the coolest people I know. He's really chill. Dude made a hilarious political video about he was gonna corrupt everything and then just hand the power to me regardless of what everyone said. um, and I voted for him. I actually rigged the vote where I tried to get him the leader because
Oh
I
man.
thought it would be funny to where I knew I got all the official votes, but here comes Neo opening up a VPN, voting for him 10 times. But once once the actual people who I forgot to inform, hey, I'm rigging the vote. Make sure Cool wins. The people who were running the election saw the votes and saw that they were like not real votes. They discarded them. And I was
Oh.
like, oh shit, I forgot about this part. So if anything, the main thing I would say was the leadership at the time was extremely friendly with working with each other, regardless of who was at the top.
That's good. You want a team that works well together. It's
Yeah,
yeah.
and it just so happened that I was, and I Brixie, me, Cool, and Hag have been friends for, like I said, a decade at that point. So we already had our group dynamic. I would normally just come up and start screaming and barking orders, and Brixie, Cool, and then would be like, "Yeah, let's do that." Like the only time that I ever really like in our friend group stepped back from like being like quote unquote like group leader man was like when we played D&D, because I always liked playing support in D&D because I
I
think
love
it's fun.
D&D. D&D's fun. It's a
It is an extremely fun
solid
game.
game.
But yeah, but the transition was just mostly all of us trying to get, and the new people who joined our friend group, just establishing where we are all,
Yeah.
we're like where we all are
Hmm.
in the political scheme of everything.
Yeah.
And
So
most yeah,
no, continue.
and it was just mostly getting that established, and then once we got that all established, they decided to go behind my back and dissolve it all and just make me leader.
Oof. I mean, I
I
mean,
mean, it's
uh,
not bad. I mean, but
yeah,
they did go behind my back and vote
yeah.
to this, but it didn't affect me. They didn't kick me out. They just
They
decided to make me the supreme leader. And I like everybody was like, "Oh no, Neo had some say in it." I did not. Like I was because I was elected by the rules I wrote. I had no say in any council decision.
Oh man.
So when they voted, it was a 7-1 of dissolving themselves, and the one person was DFW Gold, which I don't know why Stoney showed him in the video, but he later turned out to be a big betrayer to us, and it was kind of weird seeing him in the video. But I mean, like he did do what Stoney said, go around, but he wasn't the main person doing that. I would
Yeah.
say I would give that to Queeg and Gabe and actually like a few others like Kenshin and Emo Gohan. Like they were all doing the same as DFW Gold. They just, according to Stoney, just I guess they don't get the fame of being part of early Uraka,
Yeah.
even though arguably DFW Gold did the least amount for Uraka. So
Yeah.
I mean, like he was a big part. I mean, big part of it, but just not as important as Stoney thinks he was.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not trying to like, cause me and him made up. We're friends now, and I'm not trying to be mean by saying that, but I'm just speaking the absolute truth on the situation, which was, out of everybody in that situation, he would have been like, not the lowest person in our council, but not the highest person in our council.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm.
So jumping ahead a little bit to like while you were in power, what would you say your greatest triumph was? Like your greatest moment?
My greatest moment, in my opinion, gosh, it's kind of hard to say. Because I don't. it is a little humbling, but I don't consider like I consider a lot of the things I did, but I don't know about the biggest thing I would say. This is really hard. Um, my biggest triumph in my eyes. Hmm. If I had to say, it would have been the Entente War, where it was the Entente versus Aurora and the South Seas Accord, which was Tortuga, Aurora, Frosterium, the Hands, and Ulfang versus Uraka, AWE, Shiro, blah, blah, Aristios, and our allies that kind of Simulami and all the other people who kind of came to help us, who
Right.
weren't part of the EE, but they should have got credit as well,
Hmm.
because there was a lot of people, there was a lot of dynamics going in there. But the reason why I call it my biggest triumph, and I would also probably say if El Cool was here, it would probably be his biggest triumph, because we won that whole war with a lot less.
Yeah.
Like if Aurora and like the South Seas Accord was smart, they would have continued the war. They would have won, but we played the political game really well and we were pulling on the strings of these places and pulling the whole fabric of Olderash apart, and that political dynamic, I would say, was probably my biggest and my one of my personal opinion, my biggest accomplishments, because we were able to win while in the words of Sun Tzu, appear strong when you're weak and appear weak when you're strong.
Yeah.
And we were extremely weak after that first battle. Like what that battle would go on to do was inspire the loyalists to keep fighting, which basically killed Olderash. But it also, at the same time, we smacked Rafnir. And another personal reason for that, why I consider my biggest triumph, I actually got banned for Hag. You know the guy I was talking about, Hagalaz,
Yeah.
one of the founders. So as I said, he is a living meme and a troll. So here's a real life story about him, and it revolves around Stoneworks. So during the war, I actually went and talked to the Auroran leadership, and I was trying to be friendly with them, because I was like, even though we're at war, it's a block game. We don't need to be hostile with each other, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's a block game. Like we can be cool with each other.
Hmm.
Um,
It's Minecraft.
but
It's not like we're
yeah,
not.
but that was me coming back to Rafnir, and I forgot that Rafnir and Stoneworks in general is a two-field battlefield. And what I mean by a two-field battlefield, there's the left-clicking battle where you get supply and you go attack a place, but then there's the battles where you have to get into tickets with admins and all this other crap. And once I realized that, holy shit, I'm fighting the whole fucking staff team, um, it didn't help my mental state with the war.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aurora at the time had every admin.
Oof.
So it was literally us versus every admin.
That's.
And a lot of those admins have been removed for admin abuse. So,
Oh.
and this, yeah, a lot of those admins that we were fighting, they were openly abusing, and then they got removed later. So, relating back to the story, I was talking with them, trying to be friendly, and then I started talking about Hag, because I got the question that, like, you asked about the early members of Uraka, and I was like, oh yeah, this is Hag, he's a fucking meme. So, the story is, do you remember Charlottesville back in 2015?
Um.
Okay, so if for people who don't remember Charlottesville, it was called Unite the Right. It's when a bunch of right wingers went to
Yes.
and the guy drove the car for the crowd. Well, Hag is actually on CNN. You can see
No.
it. Like I said, Hag is a troll. He was going to BronyCon and he heard that there was a protest going on. And being the professional crisis actor that he calls himself, he went to Charlottesville.
Oh my God.
So Hag, going through the crowd of like neo-Nazis and all these people, you can see him. He has a bicycle helmet on backwards, rubbing his nipples. And he has a bunch of My Little Pony stickers all over his helmet. And on the picture of CNN of Hag, you see him where right behind him is this old man with a fucking Hitler shirt. And I sent the CNN article of Hag because they didn't believe me. They're like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "Yeah, Hag's a fucking meme. Like, look at this dude. Like, and he's rubbing both of his nipples. Like, you just see him grabbing his nipples with a bicycle helmet on backwards, with My Little Pony stickers all over it, and because he was going to BronyCon
Is it,
to
yeah.
meet Chris Chan."
His goal is to meet Chris Chan.
Yes, his goal was to meet Christian.
Did he? Did he meet Chris Chan?
Yes, he did meet
Yes!
Christian.
Yes!
We have pictures of him meeting Christian.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh my god. Let's just send him to me. I'll put him in the video.
Oh yeah, I mean I can't get banned for them now because like, unironically I got permabanned for sending that image because the Auroran higher ups lied to the staff and said I was calling them Nazis because yes there was Nazis in the picture, but I was pointing out that that's one of my guys in there. If anyone was gonna be called Nazis, I guess it would have been me because he had a guy, but like he was there to troll. Like he's a fucking meme lord.
No, he's
And so being able to beat that and beat the staff team, yeah, I do consider that one of my biggest triumphs because I beat the fucking staff team.
Yeah.
But they would come back in a vengeance later and fucking rain. Like soon after that, I got banned, and then I also got like an additional perma ban from Reign of Terror at that time, and I got that beat. So I bundled that all together as one thing because it was like all at the same time.
Yeah, that man, that's fucking funny. Jesus Christ. He's really in a CNN article? That's...
Yeah, he's really in a CNN article. It's the funniest shit. And actually, in the video that Stoney put, the only part I had say in that video was at the very beginning. I demanded that Hag be in the video. So if you go look at the video, you'll see like Hag's face come across the screen for a split second. Because I demanded Stoney to put his face in there.
Like his actual face?
Yeah. No, his like, because his face was the reason why like that image got me banned, and I just thought it was funny. Now that it's not, I can't get banned over it to have it in the Stoneworks video.
Oh man, yeah, no, I'm totally putting that. If I find that, I'm totally putting it in the video.
Oh yeah, man. Like it's. I have my mentality with a lot of people is as long as you're not like openly like actually being racist towards people, like I don't care if you make racist jokes per se, like as long as you're not targeting somebody, and he never did that. He never targeted anyone. He would just spout the most outlandish shit, and that was really about it. But yeah, so beating the Aurorans and all of Rafnir and beating the staff team, I consider my biggest triumph.
Man, that is... Oh boy. So, I said I was going to ask this at the end, but I do have one question after this. This is an obvious question. Why did you end up retiring? Like you literally had both Eldam and Rafnir in the palm of your hands, and you just kind of, or the palms of your hands, and you just kind of said, nah.
Okay, so a lot of I had everything in the palm of my hands before I retired, but I was also getting to the point where everything I would do, like the slightest movement that I would do, I would have a coalition or I would have staff breathing down my neck.
Yeah.
Like my second Reign of Terror, and even though it was a big threat, I did get banned over. I was the only one. But after they banned me and they realized that it didn't do anything to stop the Northeast War, it was basically unbanning me to stop it. Because I was like, look, this is going to get too toxic. I mean, I had members getting death threats over a block game because I decided to wake up and say, I'm invading the Northeast because it's a block game. You know, there's not a big deal that I had no plans of actually kicking anyone out. And I told people that we were invading, that nobody was going to get kicked out, like, at all. Like, you would keep your government positions. You would just be part of Uraka. Like,
Yeah.
And so, but because of that, I started having the staff team down my neck about everything, and and it just made me not want to play.
Yeah.
At that point, like half my friends were banned
Oh.
because we were just winning. And I understand like banning people because they're too dominant on the server.
Yeah.
Like I'm perfectly. If Stony would have approached me and said, "Hey, you are doing way too much. You control way too much. People are getting pissed about this," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's perfectly acceptable because people want to play and have fun." But it was just you're banned. If you don't stop doing what you're doing, we're gonna ban everybody in your government. Which at the time that would have been like 70 players banned, permanently banned
Jesus
from
Christ.
yeah from Stoneworks because they were part of my government. And
Hmm.
like the list that Stoney said, he said up from the top to basically our city mayors would be banned. And like I said,
Wow.
that's about 70 people.
Oh my God.
And so and we have screenshots. We tried to get them into the video, but Stoney wasn't gonna put it because it would make his staff team look bad.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes
So,
sense.
like if you something that Stoney did do, and I will give him credit for this. If you look at the on the video that he released about me, the live comments, Stoney talks about a lot of the things that he wasn't allowed to say on the video. Like he talks about the cave Jews. Yeah, that's the name of the people who kicked out Brixie, Coolwood, and Hag from their original place. Yes, they called themselves the Cave Jews.
The cave juice. That's.
It's a banned part of Iraqi lore that we can't put on the wiki.
Really?
Because well, come on, we can't put the cave Jews
Yeah.
fucking genocided people because it says Judaism. But yeah, that's what they call themselves. There's multiple people who can corroborate that. Yes, they call themselves cave Jews, and that's multiple nation leaders from around that area who would be like, yeah. They call themselves cave Jews. They were trying to make a Zionist block game nation.
Jesus Christ. An underground Zionist block game nation.
No, they were proud and open. I mean, they literally named their country Canaanite.
No. Underground is in like physically underground with the cave Jews.
Oh, well, yeah. Like, I don't know why they went with cave Judaism because none of their temples were underground. I think it was just so they could say Judaism, but they just added another thing to it, which was the cave.
Stoneworks is such a meme sometimes. It really is.
It really can be, and a lot of Iraqi history is a fucking meme.
Yeah.
And Stoney made it seem a lot more serious than a lot of things actually were.
No, I'm sure it's
like
not.
Stoney did get right my philosophy of why I was expanding, which was I did realize that there was a certain limit to the population you can have.
Yeah.
And unless you start taking over places or getting people to move in with you, you're not gonna grow. And
Yeah.
A lot of small nation leaders really don't understand this concept. And they'll be like, "Oh, I'll just go start my own nation, and that'll get everybody to join me."
No.
No. People were joining Iraq when it was tiny because we were the joke that we were trying to be the most dense city on Eldham, and we got that. We got that title. We had at one time an active population of 100 people in one town. And most places can only get around 10 at most.
Yeah, my city's called Concordia. It's got about 65 people in it. It's one of the bigger ones.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about like active people logging on.
Yeah.
Like, cause I remember we have screenshots of if you log on to Iraq, you would see about 20 people running around. Like
Jesus.
whatever time of day, because at the time, COVID was a big thing.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I didn't have a job. I didn't have school. Well, I did have school, but it was all online, so I could invest my time. And so
Yeah.
I would be playing 24/7. Basically, I was sweating it. And that was allowing me to get people from all over the time zone because Catalyst is British and Lady's Australian.
Really?
Yeah, so two completely time zones as my left and right hand. And I purposely kind of picked an Australian and a European to be my left and right hand because as like an American, I needed other people in time zones.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
And
that's actually really smart. That's good. Jesus.
yeah, and it was basically I picked the Catalyst was the European at the time who could get the most done and did the most. While
Huh.
people like we had other Australians and other Europeans and such, but it was never in the sense that if I had to put it, a lot of these people would how do I put it? They were useful and they would do stuff. They would just they didn't have the smarts to them about doing stuff.
Yeah.
What? I mean, Catalyst had his fucking moments too. One of our biggest fuck ups in Uraka, in my personal opinion, was when Catalyst showed a diplomatic, an internal diplomatic map of all the places we wanted to control over to
Ooh.
somebody we were trying to take over.
Ooh. That's
Yeah, he was trying to he was trying to show the power and influence of the nation, and he showed an internal map that had that person that we were talking to's nation highlighted as somebody we already controlled.
ooh. That's wow.
Yeah. I had a field day on Catalyst. I screamed so hard at him. I was like, "How fucking stupid are you? You could have showed him any other map, but you had to show him. You showed him a map of us controlling his nation before we even like had really established diplomatic talks with him."
Oh man. That's
Yes, it's a blunder. It's a
yeah, yeah.
huge diplomatic.
I, as I always say, that one might consider that a silly goose maneuver.
Oh yeah, it was a fair. I mean, luckily, like when that happened, we were in a stable position that the person that we showed the map, they really couldn't do anything about it. They
Right.
just got really pissed. But I mean, I'll say who the nation was. It was Unuria. They later did become a part of Uraka.
Huh.
And it was at their own will that they wanted to become part of us. It was just yeah, the first diplomatic interaction was, hey, here's a map of us saying we control you. And fun fact, Uraka's like merging in with Titania, Catalyst's nation at the time.
Yeah.
That was because of a similar incident.
Oh man. So
Yeah,
you.
somebody from Catalyst's government came over and said they controlled us, and we were like, no, we're gonna war you. And then Catalyst flipped sides, and Titania joined in with Uraka, and that's why Uraka became big.
So Catalyst made the same mistake twice.
No, he didn't personally. It was somebody in his government.
Somebody's government.
But he made a similar mistake that we
Yeah.
griped him out. That we griped the person out over, like the fact that it happened again was just it was entertaining and funny.
Yeah.
That like Catalyst, you did the same thing that like just happened a few months before.
Yeah.
In Iraq, like. You yelled at you fired your last diplomat over this. They did something simpler. Like, yeah, no, Titania nuked that high official from their government because, like I said, we were threatening war. The Consortium of Marine just founded, and that was something Titania led, the whole consortium. And so, yeah, it was it was a little funny that that Catalyst did a similar mistake, like not twice, but repeated a similar mistake that we already called out before.
Yeah. So the Stony video at one point said that you mentioned earlier your invasion of the North. Stony kind of said that it was that you had a dream about it, and then like midway through the invasion, you had another dream that the invasion would fail. Was that just a representation of the admins saying, no, you can't do that?
Yes and no. The first dream was um, me being politically involved with the entire Northeast and telling everybody at that time, hey, why are you all about to start warring each other? It's the stupidest shit. Like, look, like it's the pettiest shit to war over, and that's why the Northeast, like when he talks about the few petty wars, it was about to brew into a whole fucking world conflict, and
Right.
I was trying to prevent it to stop. And at that time, I told other nations that I was gonna do this big war deck, like just for like history and like all and lore and like RP and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I actually did have the support, but like I actually had like the Rod and Brock said yes to joining, even if I declared the big war, because they were gonna be like, yeah, it's just RP and all this stuff. Um, Same with Cog. They all wanted to like they just joined. They wanted to, but they just didn't like. Their governments themselves just didn't like how I did it. Like if I would have said, hey, like in a week or so, like let's just merge together and start doing stuff. Um, I probably would have had corner Uraka like I wanted, but I wanted to do big RP war where like even though win or lose, like we're gonna join together because it's better to be united than not. But yeah, the second dream that Stony said where I was like, oh, everything's destroyed, um, was really the admin intervention.
Right.
Because yeah, like I said, 70 plus of our members were gonna be banned. So yeah, there's the death and destruction of my capital and everything.
Hmm. So, I guess this is the last, probably the last question I'll ask. I might ask a follow up. You're obviously not part of Urak anymore. Do you miss it? Do you miss being part of that town?
Um, I mean, I put a lot of time into it, but also at the same time, I gave up Urak even when I was leading Uraka. So I do have love for the city. I have love for certain parts of the city. Like, I told people openly, I didn't really care if they looted it. Just don't touch these certain things. I told people like, don't touch the library because that was when my in-game sister's library, Winter's, and Winter got kicked out of her house because she was gay. Because she's her, and
Oh, Jesus.
so yeah, I was particularly, and that's why when Iraq like recently did get looted, I threw an absolute bitch fit about the library and got all the shit back. I didn't care
Yeah.
about anything else really. I was like the library and Koopa's memorial. Koopa was a member of Uraka, and you can find her memorial in the hub. But she's the player that died that got one of the memorials in the hub. So her memorial getting looted was a smack against me
Ah.
because because like I said, she was part of my nation when she died. She was a high member of of Uraka when Koopa died. So that's my personal attachment to it is that stuff. But I do miss like logging on and seeing about 20 people on
Yeah.
and that I miss those aspects, but being in the city, oh no, the city never really mattered. It was the community of people that were around the city that
Yeah, that
I
makes
liked.
sense.
Like so, if anything, like let's say I had to choose between getting the whole population of what Uraka was and they're active, or I get the city. I couldn't give a fuck about the city. I would rather have like the people.
Yeah, that
Brixie,
makes sense.
Lady Catalyst, Coolwood, like Tiger's Blood, Hagalaz, Quee, Gabe, like all the Stumpy, like all these like I would love, and I gotta keep saying names or people who when they hear this interview they're like you didn't say me. So Junie, Emo Gohan, like who else?
The one person you mentioned at the beginning of the interview, whose name you forgot, is going to be so mad when she watches this. If she watches it.
Probably, probably. Like, hopefully, a lot of people like when I do these little things because they're like, oh, because I do bring up people because Stoney's video, I will say, it just focused on me way too much for what
Yeah.
Uraka was.
I kind of felt that was the case. That's kind of why I wanted to ask you. Why I wanted to do this because I wanted to hear about all the other people you worked with.
Oh yeah, like sorry about my cats. They're weird sometimes and they fight. But like yeah, like Uraka was so much more than just me.
Yeah,
And the best way that me and the rest of the old Iraqi officials described it was a three-headed dragon. You know that meme where it's like two really serious dragons
yeah,
and then one really fucking derpy one?
yeah.
I'm the really fucking derpy one. The
Really?
real head Yeah, the real people who led Uraka was Catalyst and Lady. And also, they hated each other too.
Did
The
they?
only Yes, they hated and loved each other at the same time. Like one day they would be like, "I'm leaving the nation because of Lady," or "I'm leaving the nation because of Catalyst," and I would have to talk them into not leaving because they were really important to the nation. And then without them, it's really fucking hard to continue.
Yeah,
Um, and it
yeah.
made
I'd be interested in
and
having
it
them on at some point.
Oh yeah, like Callus is gonna be a little bit harder. Lady is going through surgery right now, so it might
Oh,
be a while.
yeah.
But yeah, Callus is just a drunk British kid now and finishing
Okay.
college, so he's a little bit harder. But but yeah, like those two were really important to the stability. And even after I retired, some people asked why did I choose. Because I'll say this, and I've told Lady and Callus, because I've screamed at both of them about their shitty behavior at times.
Yeah.
They could have been at times they were horrible people to people,
Hmm.
and it made me. It was a hard decision at the time. A lot of times to choose them over what I felt was morally right,
Yeah.
because I had to practice real politics with the because I purposely made Uraka into a blood sports politics. I invited people I knew who were politically like cutthroat to the
Yeah.
nation. And like I said, Lady and Cows, they hated each other. And one thing Stony kinda got right and kinda got wrong, when Lady merged Drukyul with Uraka, yes, it was to increase her own power. But it
Hmm.
was also because at that point the old leaders of Drukyul already declared us the leaders. There was
Oh.
really no there was really no point of keeping the nation separate at that point because
Yeah.
like the old leader, his name was his Wyvern. That was his in-game name.
Hmm.
Wyvern was already starting to not play as much, and one of his messages was, "Lady and Neo already run the nation. Why not just like give them the leadership?" And at that time, I wasn't even in the Drukyul nation. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't part. I mean, I wasn't part of their government. I wasn't part of anything. But our nations were basically so cooperative with each other that there was, even if I didn't have that titles, like I said earlier about titles not really mattering,
Yeah.
I was still like influencing it.
Hmm.
And so yeah, that kind of stuff. But yeah, a lot of early Uraka and the higher ups of Uraka were very cutthroats against each other. And I purposely did kind of position these people against each other, got people that hated each other to work together. Because, in the wise words of like Louis the 14th, it is better for them to fight each other than me.
Louis the 14th. That's
Yeah, King of France.
yeah. I've never heard someone pronounce that Louis. I'm sorry.
I mean, most people say Louis, but I'm like, it's Louis. That's how it's his French name. That's his king name. It's Louis the 14th.
Yeah.
The poster child of absolute monarchy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
One of my favorite jokes is quick name 18 French monarchs.
Louis for 1 for 15.
No, 18. There were 18 Louis or
Oh
Louis.
yeah, yeah,
God.
yeah. There was. Yeah,
Oh
there
my God.
was. There was. There's a shit ton of them.
Why were there so
Um,
many of them?
it goes back to a practice of divine. I can tell you this from a historian. It goes back to divine practices.
Yeah.
So back in the 1800s, when it's why like all of our noble family like European noble family documents start around 1800, is because during the fall of Rome, basically the best warlords were established as who was going to be the founding political dynasties, and that's why it just goes from a history of
Yeah.
picking the name of fathers or somebody. That's why there's so many Georges, Edwards, and like other names in the English monarchy.
Yeah. Because it's
It's
just
not.
they're yeah
It's to give
the
the best
legitimacy.
way legitimacy, yeah, to
Yeah,
like, oh, I'm literally Louis the 15th, that guy, yeah, like the last king.
man, I want to see
Um,
someone make a new like Iraqi Imperium and call themselves like Neo the Second.
yeah, I mean, there apparently like there's so many fucking people who are just like, oh, I'm an Aurelian, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, because I don't know everybody that's one. I don't
Yeah,
have a Discord for the family. But yeah, a lot of it was mostly blood sports politics, and that's that's Iraq, blood sports
blood
politics.
sports politics. I love blood sports politics. They're fun.
Yeah, it was us calling each other at 2 o'clock in the morning, having diplomatic shit going on, and screaming at each other.
So I guess I'll conclude the interview asking this. I know I said I'd end it earlier, but I'll end it now.
Yeah, no, it's okay, it's
Yeah,
okay.
what do you do now? Like, what
Um,
talked about
I
this?
mostly I mostly just kind of my role has dramatically shifted from I'm scary conqueror man to, if anything, the IRO of the fucking server. I kind of just go tell people my honest opinion and tell them how they should act. Like, I'm friends with a lot of mercs and like other PvPers that people absolutely hate. Like, for example, people don't like Mayophobia, but Mayophobia started in my nation, and he's a really close friend of mine. And 9 times out of 10, it's just me. My current role is me screaming at these PvPers, saying, "Stop being fucking cringe and targeting people.
Oh man.
You're making war in the server just fucking stupid."
Yeah,
And I don't want.
so I'm in terms of like the way I do politics, I'm pretty cutthroat. You know, I'll do whatever it takes to
Yeah.
rise up. I guess you know whatever it takes to make sure that things go a certain way. But it's always diplomatically. You know, diplomacy is always like my first choice. War is a second.
Oh yeah, and like most people just they want to. They, like I said at the beginning of this, they want their big nation and they want like all these things, but sometimes a lot of these people just there's ways to doing it where you don't ruin the experience of everybody else.
Hmm.
And I've been trying to tell a lot of people how to do that, which is you just don't war deck people because like you don't like them or something.
Yeah. Well, listen, man.
I
I'm gonna end it here. It was great talking to you.
it was
I
great.
this was a good talk. Yeah. So hopefully we can do one of these again with like a bigger live audience. You know, ask some more questions.
Okay. Oh yeah.
I
Turn
might
this
try
into the
and
Joe Rogan show where I come on every once in a while.
yeah, a repeated guest. But I'll try and get Catalyst and Lady on at some
Like,
point.
if you want some good people to interview, here's a list I would give you. Um, there's Otto of Aristios. A lot of people are gonna be like, "Oh, that's hella controversial," but you'll get another good. There's K9 of Aurora, one of the admins that got me banned, and so you would probably like to ask him some questions about the ban. There's also Rum Knight, and then there's Scotch, Butterscotch, another Auroran, like two people. And then another one I would say is probably Uni. Uni has arguably had the bigger impact on me and him. Now he would say it's the opposite, but I would say because every rule's written about him, he has the bigger fucking impact. I only have 2 rules about what I did.
Oh
He
boy.
has an entire fucking 5 pages of rules that were created because of him.
Oh man. So yeah, I'll see about this. I'm also so I want like the first few interviews to be kind of Orak centered. That's I've always been fascinated by the history of Orak. It's a very interesting nation.
Yeah,
Um,
no, well, we purposely didn't develop a wiki because we wanted to troll Stony and saying it was all an oral tradition. Kind of bit us in the butt in the long run, but you
yeah,
know,
yeah. Well, you know.
it's just how it be. It's just how it
Listen,
be.
the wiki's never updated anyway. You look at the AWE wiki, and it's like it's still what it was like a year ago. It's
Oh
tiny.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah. All
so
right. Well, this was good.
yeah, it was great talking to you, man. Yeah, thanks for doing this.
All
Yeah,
right.
hope to talk to you again eventually. Um,
Oh, of course. If you ever just want to talk, just message me. My DMs are normally open. I take a while, but
Yeah,
it's
well,
just
you're busy. You're an
my
Amazon
DMs
manager,
are. Yeah,
so
like I normally have about 100 DMs still, even though I don't lead a nation.
really.
Just people want to, yeah, because I'm not really stuck up about like people talking to me.
Hmm. Yeah, that's yeah. No, you seem like a nice person. It's good to
Yeah.
talk. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I'll end it here. Have a good one, man.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. See you.
yeah. See you around.